Hi, Titi. Thanks so much for joining
Hi,
me on the
Phoebe.
Backstage show. Yes, it's so good to finally get to meet you because I think we've met before. Do you remember how we met? Can
I
you
think so. I think
remember?
it was Ghana, coming back from Ghana at the
Yes, yes.
airport
But let me give
with
you a
Folder.
backstory. I think I was working as the stage manager for Access, and it was during the conference. I saw you in front. I was like, "Who's this lady with the purple
Ah.
hair?" Because yeah, seriously, the purple hair was my. That's me. Purple. Purple is my color. Is that your favorite
I
color
can see
too?
that. It is. It
Oh,
is.
great, great.
Yeah, it is
Okay, because
definitely my favorite color.
oh, nice. No. Okay, so now I think in that aspect, I'm very glad that we are
We
Purple Gang.
connected.
Yes.
Yes.
All right, because I saw you, I
It's
was like, who
such
is
a
this?
beautiful color.
It is. It is really.
It was really nice.
Yes, yes, really. I think you're one of the few people that I've met recently that I really, really love your vibe and following you on Instagram. I'm like, you're just such, like, I'm not just gassing you up. I'm really, really,
You are
you're
making me
very,
shy.
no, I'm sorry about that. But seriously, you are an inspiration to watch. And I mean, you don't do so much, but it's just being yourself is just amazing. Really glad to connect
I
with you right
appreciate
now.
that.
And then that's really thank you so much for joining me on the Backstage show. So right now, I'm just
Thank you for
going
having me.
to. You're welcome. All right. So just some few icebreaker questions so that we don't just
Okay.
because this is our first time talking. So I'll just be asking you some few questions right now. So you already got this out of the way. Purple is your favorite color.
It
Purple gang.
is.
All right. So
I mean, right now, to be fair, I now have a new bias for whites. I have a new
yeah,
bias for
white is
whites.
actually cool. Yeah,
Yes,
really,
yeah.
really.
So it's kind of like purple is like my favorite color innately, but these
Okay.
days when I'm like my sheets or dresses, I'm
Yeah.
going for whites, white and
White.
black, white and
Yeah,
black, white and
actually,
black.
I funny thing is with the fact that I love purple color, I don't think I can wear a dress that is purple for me. So
Yeah, it
I can
doesn't
only do
really
yes, it
work.
doesn't really yeah. So I just go for my hair. Everything can be black, but my hair is purple. So that's like the whole thing.
See,
So it's just I understand that bias too. So really, do you have a nickname?
no.
None. Are you sure? Or should I give
I
you
don't
one?
have a nickname that I accept. I'm very particular about my name,
Okay.
because my mom, when I was much younger, I learned about the importance of one's name. Like,
Yeah, true.
because somebody is calling you something often and often,
Mm-hmm.
it goes into your subconscious, and you're either
True.
supposed to become your name or you are
Yeah.
already your name.
True. True.
And so for me, names are pretty important. So I've kind of ran away from. They've all kinds of nicknames have come up in the past. Let me be honest. Um,
Yeah.
and I mean, I feel like let me be free and give you a bit of juice.
Yeah.
So
This is
there's
backstage.
friends
So
of mine.
yeah.
Yeah, like so. I mean, growing up, uncles would do tie tie, friends would do tie
Oh.
tie tits. So now the one that I fight but refuses to go away, but it's only a very few
Few
close friends
people would know.
that call me that. Um, they'd be like, when you say your name's Titi, oh, really tits? So it's like, no,
Oh
Titi.
no.
And so there's a bunch of guys that have just refused to stop calling me that.
Oh.
But only like in certain situations, like maybe we're out in the show and we're all like really waved, and then
Yeah.
they're allowed to say okay. But
I
typically
get
speaking,
that.
I don't go with nicknames. I like my name, I really do.
That's good. It's a great name actually. It's really a great name. Has a
Thank
very, very
you.
good meaning to it. It's
I mean, what Titilope for me, what it means to me is eternal gratitude, because technically it means
yeah.
continuous
Yes,
thanks,
continuous.
right?
Yes, yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and so my name for me means eternal gratitude. Like,
Nice.
in every way, you always have to
Yes,
find, not have
definitely.
to, there's always a reason to be
Yeah,
grateful. So
yeah. True,
yeah.
true, true, true. That's amazing. Okay, so now let's move on to the next question. Are you a
Mm.
sneakers or boots or heels girl, which of the three do you go for? Okay,
I'm in
so
a sneaker phase of my life. I used to be in a
okay.
wage heels phase, but then I got old, and now I'm not interested.
You sound like you're
I'm
anyone hears you now will think you're like about 40 or something. But seriously,
I'm not
seriously,
even in the 30 plus gang
yes.
yet,
So
but I feel like it's been a couple. I think it was when I moved to South Africa. They have a great sneaker culture there. Like
yeah,
it's a culture. It's not, oh, we're wearing cool sneakers. No, like it's just, even with skirts, with dresses, they
you go
wear
with
the
sneakers.
sneakers and they always pair them nicely. And then, I walked a lot because from campus or from the radio station to my
Yeah,
place. It's not that far. And so the heels just didn't work. So
I
I
get it.
got my first Converse when I was 21. And I remember my friends going, "What? Really? You've never really worn Converse All Stars before?" I was like, I
Really?
didn't even know those things existed.
True.
I was just completely heels, and I was a very girly, princessy person until I turned 20. Actually,
And
no, I
work.
wasn't that girly shy, but when it comes to shoes, I
It
was,
was like
yeah,
girly. I've never
yeah,
been
I was very
I've
girly.
never been girly when it comes to
Yeah.
shoes. I think I played football back in school. So my dad was even the
Um,
one who made me play football.
Introduce
So
you to
yeah, so
sneakers.
do you do sports? I think that's like the final question I want to
No,
ask. Are you a sports
no,
person? No.
I'm useless when it comes to that. Okay, not useless, because me, I
No,
can do
no, no.
anything, if I
Yeah.
need to, but
Yeah.
I'm not a sportsy person. I think I was gonna try badminton at some point. I had a racket and I never
Oh,
really used it, and then my dad gave it away, and then it just kind of put me off. I was like, never mind then. Yeah.
okay.
I just And like I said, I was a very girly girl. I don't like
Okay.
stress. I don't like my sister used to play
Yeah.
basketball, and I always used to think to myself that I didn't want to sit like a man. I mean, now I wear all the baggy stuff. If you
Yeah.
look at me, you think that I actually play sports, but I don't. I even have like,
Yeah, you
I'm
kind of look. That
toned,
was why I asked the
but
question. I was like, you kind of look like someone who probably maybe basketball or maybe some tennis ball or
in
something.
another part of my life, and maybe by the time I make a lot of money, I'm in like 35,
Oh,
40 plus gang, then I'll now have time. I'll now be like, oh my gosh,
let me
I'm
just
going to
pick a
play
new hobby.
tennis. I'm going
Yeah,
to
I
play
get it.
tennis or golf or some
I get
stuff
it.
like
Yeah.
that.
So when we retire and we're like, oh, we have free time on our hands. Okay.
Hmm.
So let's move on to like your work, and I know you've been working as a project manager for a very long time, even when you were working with yeah,
Oh,
starting now
starting
organization.
now.
You've been directing and managing projects for quite a while now. I mean, if I'm correct, that'll be well over 5 years or 8 years right now, or less.
Yeah, this would be like going on 8 years.
Okay,
Yeah, definitely going on eight to 2013,
13. That's about 8 years
end of
actually.
2013.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. That's almost 8 years. Let's say over well over 7 years now. And yeah, so because I know that a lot of people have this, or this is what I want to be when I grow up. Was that as a child? Was that because, and then, we all say we want to be this, but if we down 12 years down the line, are we doing what we said we wanted to do? So I wanted to like ask you, was this what you wanted to do when you, what was it? What was the thing you
I
said
had no
you grew up?
idea what I wanted to do. No, actually, I wanted to be an actress.
Oh,
Um, I really wanted to be an actress. I actually applied lots of times to schools in Nigeria to do theater arts, and I
oh,
got, but I was very naive, anyways.
nice.
I had like good marks, so I thought, I
That
have
would
marks that
work.
medical students are looking for. So, and I just wanted to
Wow.
do theater arts. How hard is it? Let me just,
Go
and
for
I did
it.
that for a few years, and I was not getting in anywhere because I was just being playing by the book. Um,
Oh, yeah.
but to answer the question, I wanted to be an actress. I feel like I still would now. All the people, all
Yeah.
the producers, come cast me or some stuff like that. I could be an actress.
Yeah.
Um, but no, I never thought I would be, doing this. I never even knew that something like this existed.
Existed, yes.
But yeah, but it makes a lot of sense because sometimes I have in few milestones of my life sat down to look at the projection and trajectory of my life, and I realized that I may not have thought, oh, I want to work in the music business, but I remember very clearly my father seizing my phone a few times because I would always play music like so loudly I could never hear anybody say anything to me, and I'd be disturbing other people. So I'd kind of always been in that space in
Yeah.
my head, like personally, but as a career, no, I have no
Okay.
idea. I had no idea I was going to do this. No.
But you're doing a great job, and I think that for me, I really love that you are in this space because that's how we were able to connect. And so I think that it was meant to be actually. So, and then
Absolutely agree. I
yeah.
actually studied journalism and
Oh,
media actually. Yeah.
okay.
So I mean I knew that I wanted to be an actress at first, but then when that wasn't working out, I thought, okay, I could do like broadcasts.
Oh, true.
I
And
would
you
enjoy that,
kind of
like
did you
radio,
did that with
TV.
your radio project. So
Sweet.
okay, so let's just delve into some of the things I wanted us to like discuss, which is
Hmm.
majorly music distribution and music project management. I realized that okay, we are in the era where a lot of artists are going independent
Hmm.
right now, even though we know that that's like almost 60% of the market is being controlled by the majors, but let's say the rest, the 30%, and some of the up and coming artists. And that was the reason why I decided to do the backstage show so that we can at least be able to like have these conversations and be able to like give out tips and tricks that that can help independent artists out there to effectively, build their brands. Not everybody would be signed by labels.
Hmm.
Not everybody would have access to companies like Empire Records. You guys just distributed UI Scuti for Olamide. I know you guys already had a partnership with him like since last year, and you've been pushing Fireboy, right?
Yes. So we have a JV with YBNL. So 50-50, we go in on everything. We work hard. They work hard.
Okay.
They work very hard. We
Yeah,
work
just
very hard,
yeah.
and
So
yeah, it's a nice partnership.
and that's what is reflecting in how successful this project that you just dropped. It just shows how effectively you guys were able to distribute this particular project. So that's one thing I wanted you to like walk us through. What's the process like when it comes to music project distribution? What are the things that is required from the artist, and what are the things you Empire Record does to ensure that okay, the effort matches each other, and then you can effectively achieve the results that you guys were able to achieve.
Let's start with the fact that Olamide, because we're using this as a case in point, right?
Yes, yes,
Um, um, Olamide is in the beautiful parts in his career and his life. He's constantly
true.
growing, and he's making music that will push people to listen. He's making music that it's different, it's new for him particularly. Um, and so like that and every other artist, the first step to anything is the product, because
Yeah,
every other thing is does not exist without a good product.
true.
So yeah, so I would say, okay, if we want to say draw a bullet point of what you're looking at when you're going to say, okay, we have a record coming out. First thing is artists on their end, they're working on the stuff, the A&R and the stuff, they're working with the producers, all of that. If they
True.
have an inspiration, if it's a project, like a body of work, or even if it's just a single, whatever the case is, when it's done and it's ready. And again, obviously it depends on the level of involvement that you have with your DSP, I mean with your distributor. Some of them, if
Okay.
it's just a standard, and if this is, I'm guessing obviously a lot of the audience, that people that are listening are mostly guys that will be doing stuff themselves.
Yeah,
Um
true.
yeah, so you probably have a distributor who is not involved in the process prior to when you give in the final music. So all of the stuff before then is on you. You have to make sure that you have good, well thought out music. But well thought out music in that even in the process of the music, while I'm not saying that take away from the creative
Aspect.
setup, yes, of it, a really, really beautifully inspired a piece of work already starts up the marketing process before you even know it.
Yeah.
Because if it's something that has depth, by the time you bring it to your team or to whoever it is, they can already see how they want to sell it. You're
True.
bringing UI Scuti, you're bringing a new body of work that shows a whole new phase of Olamide, and at the same time, um, just with the name, right, the company, there's already a story
Yeah.
behind it. There is a, it's he is. We know we've been saying, oh yeah, he's Badu, he's big, he's that, but he never really shouts about it. And now
Yeah.
there he is. He found the star, the UI Scuti, that is literally one of the biggest stars that exist, but
Yeah.
people don't know about it.
True.
And that is who he is. So it was, it already
It's a
gave
play
you a
of,
beautiful story to
yeah,
tell.
a backstory
Exactly.
already. I mean,
Exactly.
I
So
didn't even know about the star
the star,
until he dropped his album, and it's so simple how he was able to come up about the name. It was his son that asked him the
yeah.
question, and I'm like, I think
And
the
that
lead.
is the thing, constantly learning,
True.
and how he's opened himself up to that. And most
Yeah.
artists should too, always looking for, without being calculative about it, but always open to inspiration, because it can literally
Yeah.
come at the weirdest times from anything at all.
True.
Um, and so once that part is done, then you're now having a conversation with your distributor. If you're doing it by yourself, then you're saying, okay, I have the song. When is the best time I want to release this? What is my target? What do I want to do with the song? Right? If I just want to put it up on the stores, I don't have a huge budget. I don't want to go. I'm not going to do like a huge plugin on radio or do like a huge plugin on TV. Then you're focusing on the DSPs alone, right? And
Okay.
obviously your core markets. You're focusing on your core markets. Then you want to start thinking, um on the digital side. Sorting out the digital side is, okay, you have the wave, you have the artwork, you have all of that stuff. You want to submit it, but you want to give enough time between when you submit and when it's supposed to be
To be
released, so
up.
that
Yeah.
you give yourself you give yourself enough time to start to reach out to editors and to start to,
True.
pitch your music, because so much music is literally put on the internet every
Yeah.
day. And for yours to be singled out is a huge big deal. I think I saw stats one time. I'm bad with numbers, like, off my head, but it was like in the millions of songs that are put across the world globally.
Wow.
And so for your song to be picked out on a Friday or on a Monday or on a Tuesday, whenever, the store wants to decide to turn over
Yeah.
support, and be giving support, you need to be intentional about reaching out to the people that curate this support. Spotify makes it easy for artists to do directly, because they have Spotify for Artists. You can pitch from the back end. So,
Yeah.
and I think they have at the very least 7 working days, which is already a week,
Okay.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Seven is over a week. So people who are always so fast and always so in a rush to release stuff will lose that timeline of being able to get the music in front of the Spotify editors. It's
Oh.
similar with Apple, right? It's like working. The way I always say it is, if you want, it's like marketing, it's like advertising, right? Every space that they're giving you could go to someone else that brings them more clicks. So
Okay.
why should your song be in a playlist at number 2? Why should your song get a banner? Why?
Oh.
So now it becomes a pitching process. So if you need to have a story, but you need to know the right people to speak to, and that one I can't say, oh my gosh, these are the right people to speak to, because you have to do your research on the different
Yourself.
platforms, from Apple to Deezer to Spotify. Like I said, Spotify is really easy. You don't need to be looking for the
Yeah.
editors. You do it from the back end.
Okay.
Deezer also, Boomplay, and then putting the music, not just saying, okay, I've got new music come out, that's it. You're literally making a pitch. You're making a marketing pitch.
Yeah. True.
You're saying, I've got the song. This is what it's about. Essentially, you're trying to tell them why they need to prioritize your stuff on their
Yourself.
platform
Oh.
over everyone else. And if you don't have the luxury of being a Kiss Daniel or being a Yao Tog that people are already excited about,
Yeah.
then you have to tell your story with that. So I think for me, like the key points would be obviously the music making, but also the story behind it.
Behind the music.
Um, Behind the music, because that's what you use to make your pitch, but also the research of your targets. When I mean your
Sure.
target, I mean on the business side. We'll talk about the fans later, but like the research of the business side of your targets. If you want TikTok to be where you want to go, you want to
Okay.
research who could help you out there. If you want, you're targeting Boomplay, you're targeting Spotify, you're targeting all those places. Your research on how best to reach out to those people would also be key. So um, that would really be it. And then when that's just for like the setting up process, right? When all of that
Okay.
is done, you've reached out to the editors, all of that. Then you're focusing now on the larger plan of promoting it. You're
Yeah.
thinking about assets, things that you can use for social media. How do you want to interact with your fans? Um,
Sure.
because you see, people would say it's a simple thing. Okay, maybe your upcoming, your Spotify doesn't have as much thingy, but Spotify is literally like they have the way they've set up Spotify for artists. You can interact. It's interactive in a way, in that
Okay.
you need to get people to follow you, right?
Oh, so
It's
it's
like
more like a
social media.
social platform. Oh, okay.
It is. They're set up a bit user friendly. By that I mean the artists are able to use the interface to provide certain information to fans or just general audiences. For
Okay.
instance, the whole getting people to follow you, right? People are not just following you
Okay.
for the sake of following you. The algorithm reads it in such a way where there's something called Release Radar, Discover Weekly, and people
Okay.
that follow certain artists. When an artist has a new release out, you know, um, it goes directly into that person's release radar, into all the people that you're following. So if you have 500 people following you, literally 500 people get, at least the ones that are active, they get your song on release day into their personalized new music playlist
Oh.
for the fan. Yes.
Oh,
So
okay. Does the same thing
getting
happen with Apple Music too?
yeah, in a way, yes. Apple Music
Okay.
on your they've improved their interface in such a way also that when you have your person, you just personalize it. The password is called you. It used to be for your
Okay.
personalized playlist or like mixes and stuff like that. The kinds when you're signing up for Apple Music, you would see that there are parts. There's times when you're asked about, artists that you like or artists that you follow, kind of music
Yeah,
that you
true.
follow.
Sure.
So it
Yes.
uses that algorithm and then also just obviously monitors the kinds of music, kind of music that you listen to often enough, the albums that you add, the artists that you add, and then it will give you those recommendations into your personalized playlist. So generally, all of them are continuously improving their system. But the takeaway from it really is that just as you interact with your fans on IG, you interact with your fans on Twitter. Your fans or your listeners also interact with your music on this platforms, right? So, um, as much as you can as an artist, it's always advisable to try to bring them in, like to get them to interact with you on a specific platform. So maybe
Okay.
you're running a campaign with Boomplay. Share Boomplay's
Yeah.
direct link and tell people to follow you there, just to build your user base
Okay.
there. Do the same thing with
Okay.
Spotify. Do the same thing with Apple. You can even make
Okay.
your own. Everybody is not going to get an artist essential done for them, but you can make your own,
True.
say, best of Mobad, for instance, or best of Oxid. I
Okay.
mean, I'm sure Oxid has an excess essential, but you get my point. Like, keep interaction going. So it's not just
Yeah.
you release the music and then leave it there. You have to
Yeah.
come up with creative ways to get people to engage with you on certain platforms, right?
Yeah.
On
True.
Spotify, for instance, if you have your artist playlist created by yourself, it could be like a complete collection of Chike, for instance. And Chike is the one that, if it's not an official Spotify playlist, but he's
Okay.
curated that, or his team has curated that. And then you can set it as your artist pick, that anytime anybody goes onto your profile, what they see as the thing that you're suggesting for them to listen to as your artist pick is
Okay.
your complete collection of songs or your latest song, for instance. When you have a new song,
Okay.
pick that. So it's just, doing your research and playing around with all of the different tools that this DSPs have made available for people to use
Okay.
and utilize, to keep fans coming back, to keep them interacting with your content on there. So far, distribution wise, I've touched on getting the content right to start
Yeah,
with.
true.
Then the other side is focusing on people who are doing the distribution directly, which means you also have to do your
Yes.
research on who to reach out to, and then do your
Yes.
research on all the different features or utilities that are made available by the different DSPs to engage with your
To
audience
engage
more.
your. Okay.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
then if you are, for instance, if you do have a distribution partner that you talk to, that means that they're doing a lot of the pitching. A distribution partner that is doing the pitching,
Okay.
because some distribution
Okay.
partners are not pitching; they're just handling the technical thing of being a channel. You put the music and they take it to where it needs to get to. So they're not doing the labor service of pitching.
I
Mhm.
know that a lot of people just put it up and expect their platform to do the job for them. So, and then it's one thing to put up your music on a platform, it's another thing to create a strategy that would ensure that you are effectively marketing your music. How do you
Mhm.
ensure that okay, you are making use of other media channels to roll out your music?
Like with everything else, the bane of it would be research. So
Okay.
we've touched on the DSPs. Then the other part is the
Yes.
socials and creating content for socials, obviously in a strategic way that will connect to your fans. And if you've got some budget, to also put some budget behind digital and target it the right way.
Okay.
Um, to using the data that's available to you to know where to target or who to target. Okay, you're in Nigeria, you're starting out. Obviously, this is your focus market. But if you make certain kind of music that you know that maybe you've seen, even if it's 5 random people follow you or listen to your music from fans, put some money behind that. If you've got the budget, of course, put some money behind that. Kind of
Okay.
see if you can, because there's a bit of interest there. It means that your music can take can take roots there. There's digital spaces, your social media and your YouTube, your ads and all of that. Research to also figure out how you want to do it. What kind of content pieces do you want to create? Are you trying to create viral content pieces, or are you trying to create super niche, cool new wave content that your
Yeah.
fans or your people would appreciate? And that's that. I mean, that obviously also goes back to the whole making sure that your content, because the content isn't just the music. The content is
Yeah.
also the,
True.
the pieces that you use. If it's if if you're a tenny and you make funny videos, every now and
Oh
then you make
yeah.
skits, or you're a Faust and you're that person, or you're a Black Bones and you're that person, or you're a Fireboy and you don't necessarily, put out there.
Do
You just
that.
interact with your fans on Twitter, and he has all those funny questions and silly questions or sexual questions that he's asking them every now and then, but he keeps them
Yeah.
interact with him.
Yes.
Um, so it's to find the best way to communicate with your people and then start to build out on that particular type of content that works for them. Or if it's different pieces of content, also if it's video pieces, you may not have, maybe you don't have the funds to make a whole full video, but you can make viral videos with your phone. If you
Yeah.
have friends that could do those kinds of things, it's to research in what other people are doing and find ways to
What works for you?
exactly curate it and tailor it to yourself and your music and your market. But then if we go onto the other platforms, your TV, your radio, your online platforms, your blogs and all of those, the bane of it again is to research. It's figuring
Okay.
out the kind of music I make, what kind of platforms can I send them to, um, who would be my target, who is receptible to this. Obviously you want to throw your net as wide as possible,
As
because if you
yeah.
send stuff to 20, 50 people, at least 5 will pick it up. And if you have 5 people, 5 reputable people talking about your music, or 5 reputable platforms sharing your music when it comes out, that's good enough for you to start with. And then obviously you keep those relationships and then add more as you go, and then you build out and you build out and you build out. So the
Okay.
bane of it will still be research. The bane of it will be finding out people that make the kind of music that you make, and where are they being featured? Who writes those music for them? Who is the
Okay.
editor there? Who owns the thing? How can I send them an email? And then figuring out the best way, to reach out to them. Do you send
an email with everything in the body, or do you send them a private link for them to listen to, see if they like it, and then follow up after a couple. This is why also that lead time. It's not just for the
Yeah.
DSPs. Giving yourself enough lead time would also mean that you're planning and setting up all of these other marketing and promotional avenues up before the release day, reaching out to radio people that might like
Yeah.
your music. Send them the MP3 from the start. Send them, a bio. Send them a nice write up of what the music is about. You're essentially selling yourself. You're pitching
True.
yourself to them. So you want to present yourself in the best way possible, but not too long, not too
Yeah.
fresh.
I mean,
You don't
it's
want
a
to
pitch.
waste people's time. It's a
Yeah.
pitch
Yeah.
as quick as you can. Like the beautiful thing about the space that we live in right now is you literally don't have any barriers. You can be reaching
True.
out to people in South Africa. You can be reaching out to people. I mean, obviously, there's some platforms that cater for themselves, particularly like there's some East African blogs that would be like, no, they only cater for East African music,
Okay.
and they do that on purpose because everybody else caters for Nigerian music,
Oh
So
yeah.
they're trying to build out their own too. But then you find some places that would be open to featuring your stuff,
True.
especially depending on the kind of music you make. There are platforms that are about the genre of music, not so much the geography.
Okay.
And then there are others that are about the geography. And then there are others that are maybe they focus on pushing women's stuff, and you're a
Oh,
female in the industry. Then you
yeah.
also target those
Yeah.
people. So it really comes down to the research that you're able to do and your team is able to do, and finding the right people to send stuff. And obviously making room or to be able to tweak the way you do stuff as you go, because
Okay.
you learn from the way you did stuff the first time. You
Okay.
learn from it. Okay, this person, maybe when I sent her stuff, she was like, oh, it's too late now. I usually would prepare for all my stuff 2 weeks in advance or 3 weeks in advance, and then
Okay.
you can keep
Yeah.
that in mind for when you're planning. Um yeah, it's just being attentive, researching, and being clear about the targets that you have in mind, or the goal that you have in mind. Set
Sure.
some kind of
Realistic and
goal, some kind of
specific goals.
benchmark,
Yes.
exactly, and then go from there, and then you build out from there.
Wow, that's actually great. Thank you so much for this great insight you've actually shared. Talking about Empire Records, I know that everybody is raving about independence and all, being an independent artist. And I know that the major concern for a lot of artists would be ownership and also having control over their body of work and the business aspect of it. So I wanted to ask you how you guys do things. What's the approach you guys use that is different from the regular record labels that we know, that makes it easy for you? Because I know you just signed a couple of artists. What makes it easy for these artists to be able to trust how you guys operate? What's the process like for?
The
Yeah.
keyword is partnership.
Okay,
That's what
great.
it is. For any team or any artist or anybody that is coming on board, the keyword is it's a partnership. We're a team. We're
Great.
not coming to tell you how to do stuff. We're coming to see how you currently do stuff and how it can be improved on,
That's
how we can add to it.
that's
It's not
great.
a, okay, this is what we think it should sound like. No, because obviously you
Yeah.
should know how you should sound like.
True.
It's like, maybe you could add this to it. Maybe you should tweak this. From experience, maybe you should do this. We think maybe it could sound like this. And if we agree, because sometimes, artists, for the most part, if you listen to them, those that have taken time to build themselves out, and I don't mean the big guys. That's
Okay.
not what I mean by build. I mean just build out their knowledge and equip themselves. If you listen to them, or if you watch them, or if you're attentive, they have a lot of times the answers in just the way they do things.
Okay.
You can see how to approach the person's audience by
True.
the way the artist is. A lot of times they are out there. They're the ones interacting with the fans half
True.
the time. They know what their fans want to see. So they already have a part of it figured out. They just need help. They need someone to amplify. They need boots on the
Yeah.
ground. And that's really what it is. That's what we've got. The brain power. Obviously, we've got a team across the globe that is super experienced. We put all
Yeah.
everybody's years of experience together. It's ridiculous. But so even if you're just picking 1% out of all of that and putting that into what you already have, the goal, and I think the clear thing here is or something I want to point out is, you can't be coming to the table empty-handed just with the music.
Yeah. True. True.
You know, like I said, it's a partnership. Yeah, you can't just say
Seriously.
I've got great music and then that is those are the kinds of setups that a typical
Yeah,
record
record
label would
label
have that
ones.
would get artists into situations that they're not necessarily comfortable with.
Yeah.
Because if you're coming with just the music, then that means I'm
And
doing
nothing else to
all the
offer.
rest of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that means now me as your label who's
Mm-hmm.
signing you, it means I'm doing everything else. I'm doing
Mm-hmm.
all of the work because you're only doing
Just the
the music.
creative part
You don't even yes, you're not you have no idea
about
what you
business.
want to do with
Mm-hmm.
your brand. You don't even care to research what you want to do with your brand. You're not interacting with your fans. You're not coming up with campaigns by yourself. You're not taking initiative. If we're carrying the bulk of the work, that would mean, and this is not about Empire, this is about, a
Yeah.
typical label. So people always get upset and say, oh no, the label is taking so percent. And I'm not, and obviously this does not relate to brands or rather labels that are actually doing shit wrong.
That.
I'm
Okay.
talking about a proper business setting where they're doing shit right, but because of the level of work that they're putting in and level of investment they're putting in, it means they have to take more money. They
Yes.
can't take
Yes.
20%
True.
if they're putting in so much money into you. They're literally
I mean,
handling everything from start to finish. So it's a balance, and what makes Empire different is we literally it's a for almost every artist, it's not a one size fits all for everybody. It's a
okay.
let us see where you are, how can we fit in, and how can
Okay.
we make it work together.
Okay, that's actually great. That's like because I think that's actually where the world is going to right now, and that's how I think independent artists should start thinking. You can't just say, "Oh, you sit down and just focus on the creative process alone and not think about where you want your brand to be," because that's the only way other people will be able to work with you. That's the only way you can actually maximize what the label is bringing to the table for you. So that's actually
Mm.
great. Thank you so much for explaining that. And also, I just wanted to ask again, when it comes to discovering artists, do you guys do that yourself, or if an artist wants to work with you, how does the process work? Do you do you go do the pitching
It's a
yourself,
combination
or
of both.
okay,
It's a combination of both. Like if I'm looking for someone in particular, maybe I found someone. Then all this is all hypothetical,
okay, yeah,
and I find someone that I think is completely ridiculously good. And I'm the one that wants to work with the person. I'm not just gonna sit and wait for the person to come to me. I'm gonna be
sure,
like, yo, I see what you're doing. I like it. How can we work together? This is what we can do. What do you have? What's your current setup? What are you looking like? Um, but at the same time, obviously we're in a position where people know of us. They've
yes,
also done their own
yes,
research, and so you do have people that come. But again, between ourselves and between the entire team, we're in the space. We have our ears to the ground. We have the connections. Where
okay,
there's always talent popping up, especially in different parts of the continent, because it's not just about Nigeria. There's Ghana, there's South Africa,
yeah,
there's
definitely.
Namibia, there's
That's it.
there's Ivory Coast, there's Cape Verde.
Yeah.
One of my favorite artists right now is from Cape Verde.
Oh wow,
Actually, beautiful guy, June Freedom.
wow.
He makes amazing music. And I would never have thought. I mean, the only other person I knew from Cape Verde as a year ago was Myra Andrade.
Oh,
Um,
okay. I think I've heard
but
of.
he's sort of like, I know she's huge. She's huge, mad, like in Europe and in Lusophone speaking countries,
Wow.
Belgium and all of that. And um, I think I found out on Colors. She had done something for Colors, and I was just so mesmerized. I remember watching that video so many times and going, "What the fuck is this person?" Um, and then I posted her, and I think other people found her from there. And I won't even get into it, but there's people her now because they found her on my IG, and
Oh
I'm just
wow.
like, yes, she is amazing. So my
Mm.
point is that there is just like all kinds of talents around, and we don't always know them. We can't know everyone, so we're
Okay.
also always discovering new stuff. But at the same time, we're trying to we are cautious about the team. Bringing
True.
on more people
True.
because everyone that we have on board, we are trying to give a certain level of attention that they
Yeah.
require at a
True.
particular point in time.
True.
And if that is the case, we can't have it's quality over quantity for
Yeah.
us.
True.
So But yeah,
That's
we're open.
important.
People pitch stuff. We
Okay.
also go out looking for stuff too
Okay.
when it's
Okay.
necessary.
Okay. So that's great. Let's go into events. That's where I work in. I work in the live music
That's your
business.
space.
Yeah, that's my space.
Yes.
So I know that the pandemic has actually stopped a lot of artists from doing physical events. And also, what do you think about virtual events? Would you think of, if you're going to do any event activations, would you actually go the route of virtual events for any of your artists? I mean, in the
For the
near future.
for the right artist with the right kind of setup, yes.
Okay.
Not every artist
Can.
would work for like a virtual piece.
Yeah. Sure.
And also depends on the production, the level of production you're
Sure.
willing to go, how much budget you want to put into that, because it's about an experience, right?
Sure.
And because it's virtual, you now have to curate something that the fans
It's
are going to
different.
really, really, yes. I mean, obviously, everybody want to use the Travis Scott setup as an
Yeah.
example because it is mad, and But
True.
let's come home a little bit and say, even the Wizkid's thing that he did with YouTube,
Yeah.
it was,
Yeah.
it, you can't necessarily. My thing with virtual performances is in my head, I just consider that it's like a different level of content curation
Okay.
because it's almost like you film the concert and now you're
You play it live.
yes, you're playing it live. And so the experience of fans around that would, jumping
Different.
on, obviously it was a solution that we had to create, or the industry had to create, because of the situation we found ourselves in. But even before then, some people had been doing, they would stream their events live,
Yeah.
or
True.
they would record it
And then
during
put it up.
and then give it,
Premiere it.
yeah, exactly, put it up for other people who were not able to attend the show, or maybe want to relieve the show. So the part that I see it, why those things are important, it's not just, it's a combination of putting your content out there, getting
True.
extra content out there, which obviously gives you extra numbers, which builds your catalog, which hopefully down the line, and rather in bottom line, gets you more revenue,
Yeah.
right?
True. True.
There's that. Then there's the angle of curating stuff that you can keep your fans interacting
Engaged.
with you. That is
Yeah.
not just, yeah, exactly, keep your fans engaged. Right now, I think most of the guys are just doing, live,
Live recording.
alternative live performance. Yes, exactly, and
Yes.
then playing that after, like a full blown concert type setup that is going to be virtual. It's a whole production on
Yeah.
another level that it has to be done for the right artist. I'm 100%.
Yeah.
I'm sure that we do have a few of those. It's not something
Yeah.
I'm
True.
working on
Because
right now,
the technology
but
is actually becoming better. I don't know if
mm,
you know about this K-pop artist, BTS. They did a virtual
mhm,
concert, and they've done about 3 or 4 now with a platform called Kissway. They are like a technical platform for virtual events and the immersiveness of the experience is actually very, very good. That it almost feels like you are in the same room with the artist and you are cheering, you can interact, there's live chats, and also, even if we're going back into physical events, it's something that people can still consider going
can still do,
forward.
yeah.
Yeah.
I
So
mean, the YouTube live premieres now, where you have those conversations, you can have the live chat
yeah.
while the video is premiering.
I mean, this
It's
is video
almost
chats
like,
actually. It's video chats. That's why it's much more. That's why I'm like intrigued about
that's
it.
crazy.
Yes, it's video
Yeah,
chat. You can chat live with your fans during the show, and they can cheer you on during the show. It's a big technology right now, and I'm still researching
that
that,
sounds
and
amazing.
it's actually very, very. So that's what I'm excited about. Whether we go into physical, it's not going to cancel our physical events. That's not possible, but it's going to be an
Yeah,
exciting way to actually, be able to reach out
just
to,
another level
yes, another level of,
of it.
opening up your brands. So,
No, I'm definitely interested in finding out more information about stuff like that,
okay.
because the space is constantly growing and constantly
Yeah,
evolving,
definitely.
and there's always new stuff
Definitely.
to be done. So yes,
Yeah, true.
absolutely.
Okay. All right.
I
So,
want to know, if you were to put together a virtual show for
okay.
for any artist, it doesn't have to be in the Empire roster, but like an
Okay.
African artist, and one that you would want to, you can, if you had all the budget that could
Okay.
give you access to top tier production,
Okay.
who would it be and why?
Okay, so
Virtually.
actually, I'm considering two major artists right now, and that's because of the fact that they know how to perform. Not all artists can perform, not all, because it's not physical. Not all artists can actually drive that
The
engagement
energy by
behind.
themselves.
Yes, so I'm looking at Burna Boy and Tiwa Savage.
Okay.
These two artists. There are more actually, so but
No, but
to answer your questions,
those are good. Those are definitely good ones. They would also
yes.
from the point of marketing, they will pull a crowd.
Yes. And
You know,
then
they could
the
pull in.
global artists, you could, because ticketing is another thing, in terms of
Yeah.
you don't want to settle for only Nigerians.
It's gonna be like, why am I paying for that?
Yes.
Why am I doing
But
that?
the fact that they are global and they have that massive reach, it will be a great idea to pull up
The
something like
market
that
is
for them.
bigger. Okay.
Yes, yes. So
That's a good one.
so
That's
that's it.
definitely a good one.
Yeah. All right. So just to wrap up, what would you advise independent artists who are looking to become much more intentional about their music distribution and also about their marketing strategies? What would you advise?
Research. Don't be rude. Don't be fucking rude. People are so rude in this
Very
industry. Do
important.
not be entitled, but be firm.
Okay.
We're lacking professional etiquette. So someone
Sure.
who knows that he deserves something just asks for it sometimes in the wrongest way that he's just not gonna get it because you piss people off. And you must remember that you're working in an industry where people's emotions, whether we like it or not, at play.
Yeah.
So research. Be intentional. Don't be rude, but be firm. And just have some fucking professional etiquette, man. That does not include saying fucking to people.
Yeah.
But there's a podcast,
Get it.
I can say it. And then just I want to say the phrase trust the process, but the truth is there is no one process.
Yeah.
So trust your process.
Yeah. True.
Trust your process, whatever it is that you're setting up for yourself. Trust also your ability to adapt and change.
Yeah. True.
Because
Very
you might
important.
start out one way and it's not necessarily going that way. It does not mean that you now have to kill yourself in that one space.
Yeah. True.
Be smart about things.
Okay.
But yeah.
Yes. Thank you so much. It's a great honor to chat with you. I mean, very
This was
impactful.
fun.
Yes, really. Thank you so much, and I'm
This
glad
was a
that
lot
you
of fun.
enjoyed the backstage. And then,
Thanks
yeah.
a lot.
Thank you. Hey there, thank you so much for listening. And don't forget to subscribe and follow or leave a review. I mean, if this episode has actually really helped you, I really want to hear from you. So connect with me on Instagram or leave us a comment and leave us a 5-star rating. And if you've enjoyed the show, spread the word, share with your friends. And also don't forget to join my crew by signing up to my mailing list so you can get access to all the amazing resources I have lined up for you. Until next time, keep winning.
Backstage.